माननीय सभासदों, माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, माननीय सभासदों, माननीय अध्यक्ष जी,
माननीय वित्त मंत्री श्रीमती निर्मला सीतारमण जी। आइटम नंबर वन माननीय वित्त मंत्री श्रीमती निर्मला सीतारमण जी।
I rise today on the table a copy each of the following papers, Hindi and English versions, under Article 281 of the Constitution. Sir, with your permission, 2026 to 2031 on the table a copy each of the following papers, Hindi and English versions, under Article 281 of the Constitution. 2026-2031, Volume 2, 2026 of the 16th Finance Commission. Main report of the 16th Finance Commission. Explanatory memorandum as to the action taken on the recommendations contained in the above report. Annexures of the 16th Finance Commission.
Item number 2.
Number 3.
Explanatory
the action taken on the recommendations contained in the above report.
Item number 2, माननीय वित्त मंत्री निर्मला सीतारमण जी।
Honorable Speaker, sir, on the sacred occasion of Magh Purnima and the birth anniversary of Guru Ravidas, I present the budget for the year. Honorable Speaker, sir, 2027. On the sacred occasion of Magh Purnima, since we assumed office the birth anniversary of Guru Ravidas, India's economic trajectory has been marked by stability, fiscal discipline, sustained growth since we assumed and moderate inflation. 12 years ago, this is the result of conscious choices economic we have trajectory made, even in times heightened stability, uncertainty, fiscal discipline, and disruption. Sustained growth, our government and led by Honorable Prime Minister Modi, this is the result of conscious and consistently chosen action, even in times heightened ambivalence, uncertainty, and reform disruption. Over rhetoric, our government and led by Honorable Prime Minister Modi has decisively and consistently structural reforms. Fiscal prudence and monetary stability, whilst maintaining a strong thrust on public investment over populism. Keeping Atmanirbharta as a lodestar, far-reaching we have built domestic reforms, manufacturing capacity, fiscal prudence energy and security, stability, and reduced maintaining a strong thrust on public investment. Simultaneously, keeping we have ensured that citizens benefit from every action domestic manufacturing capacity, undertaking reforms, energy security, to support employment and reduce critical agricultural productivity, household purchasing power. We have ensured that citizens and universal services from every action of the government. These measures undertaking reforms have delivered to support a high growth rate of around 7% productivity and household purchasing power, substantial strides and universal services in poverty reduction. These measures and improvement in the lives of our people. A high growth rate of around 7% an external environment and helped us in which trade and multilateralism are strides and access to resources and supply chains are disrupted. Improvement in the lives of our new technologies are transforming production and external environment while sharply increasing demands on multilateralism, energy, imperative, and critical minerals and access to resources and supply chains are India will continue to take confident steps. New technologies are transforming production systems, balancing while sharply increasing demands on water as a growing economy and critical with expanding trade and capital needs. India must also deeply integrate towards Vikasit Bharat. India must also remain deeply integrated with global markets as a growing economy, exporting more with expanding trade, stable long-term investment. India must also deeply integrate. As I begin part India must also I want to express my gratitude to the people global markets for standing firmly with us and attracting as stable we forge our way together towards becoming one of the largest economies of the world. I want to express my gratitude to the people for standing firmly with us. Our aim is to transform aspiration together into achievement, becoming and potentially one of the largest economies of the world. As we ensure that the dividends of growth reach every farmer, The scheduled
Our
caste,
aim is to
the scheduled
transform
tribes,
aspiration
the
to
nomads,
achievement,
the
पूर्ति के
youth,
साथ
and
हमारे
the women
साथ
to
and
performance.
the women. As we ensure
In Viksit
that
Bharat,
the
खड़े
Young
रहने के लिए
Leaders
लोगों के
Dialogue
प्रति अपना आभार
2026.
व्यक्त करती हूँ।
The
हमारा
scheduled
लक्ष्य है कि हम
caste,
विकास
the
के
ideas
लाभ
we
प्रत्येक
share, the
किसान,
nomads, the
with our
youth,
Prime Minister,
the poor,
which
and
have
the women.
inspired many of the
अनुसूचित
proposals
जाति,
in
अनुसूचित
Viksit Bharat,
जनजाति,
Young
घुमंतु,
Leaders
युवा,
Dialogue 2026
गरीब
budget.
और
Several
महिलाओं
innovative
तक
ideas were
पहुंचाना
shared.
सुनिश्चित करते हुए आकांक्षा को उपलब्धि तथा संभावना को कार्य निष्पादन में परिवर्तित करें।
Making this a
विकसित
unique and
भारत युवा नेता
disadvantage-driven
वार्ता
budget.
2026 में हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी के साथ अनेक नवोन्मेषी विचार साझा किए गए जो कई प्रस्तावों का आधार बने हैं, जिससे एक युवा शक्ति संचालित बजट बन गया है।
To deliver on this sankalp,
हमारी सरकार का संकल्प हमारे गरीब, शोषित और वंचितों पर ध्यान देना है। इस संकल्प को पूरा करने तथा यह देखते हुए कि कर्तव्य भवन में तैयार होने वाला यह बजट पहला बजट है, हम
is to fulfill aspirations of our people, productivity and build their competitiveness, making them strong partners in the volatile global India's path to prosperity. Our third kartavya is to fulfill aspirations of our people and build their capacity, making them strong partners in every family, India's community, to prosperity. And sector has access to resources aligned with our vision of and opportunities for meaningful participation. Is to ensure that this threefold approach community requires a supportive ecosystem. Has access the first requirement is to sustain the momentum and opportunities for meaningful participation. Continuous adaptive and forward-looking requires a supportive ecosystem. And resilient requirement is to sustain the momentum to mobilizing savings, allocating capital efficiently, continuous adaptive risks, and forward-looking. Cutting-edge technologies, including AI applications, financial sector can serve as central to mobilizing savings, multipliers, allocating capital efficiently, and managing risks. Reform Express. Cutting-edge technologies, our government has undertaken AI comprehensive reforms towards creating employment, as force boosting productivity for better and accelerating growth. After the Prime Minister's Express, our government has undertaken on Independence Day reforms towards creating employment. Over 350 reforms have been accelerating growth. This includes GST simplification, notification of labor codes on Independence Day, rationalization of mandatory quality control. 350 reforms, high-level committees have been formed. This includes GST simplification. The central government is working with the state labor codes on deregulation and reducing compliance orders. High-level committees have been formed. The Reform Express is well on its way, and the central government is working with the state to help us fulfill deregulation and reducing. I now move to specific proposals. The Reform Express is well on its way to accelerate and sustain economic growth. To help us I propose interventions in 6 areas. I now move to specific proposals. 1. Scaling up manufacturing in 7 strategic to accelerate and sustain economic growth. I propose interventions in 6 rejuvenating areas. Legacy industrial sectors. 1. 3. Scaling up creating manufacturing in MSMEs. 7 strategic and frontier sectors. Delivering a powerful push for infrastructure. 2. Rejuvenating legacy ensuring long-term security and stability. 3. Creating champion MSMEs, developing city economic regions, delivering a powerful push for infrastructure, scaling up of manufacturing in 7 security and frontier sectors, and 6 developing city economic regions, meaning biopharma strategy for health advancement, scaling up of manufacturing in 7 strategic and frontier sectors. India's disease burden is observed to be shifting towards non-communicable diseases for health advancement, like diabetes, cancer, technology, and disorders. Biologic medicines, India's disease burden is observed to be shifting towards non-communicable diseases costs, like to develop India as a global biopharma manufacturing hub. Biologic medicines are key to longevity and quality of life. I propose the biopharma Shakti with an outlay of of 10,000 crores global over the next 5 years. Manufacturing hub. This will build the ecosystem for domestic production of biologics and biosimilars. The strategy will include a biopharma-focused network with 3 new national institutes of pharmaceutical education and research, popularly known as biologics and biosimilars. The strategy will include a biopharma-focused network of 3 new national institutes of India clinical trial education and research. We propose to strengthen the Central Drug Standard Control Organization to meet global standards, and it will also create a network of 1,000 accredited India clinical trials through a dedicated scientific review cadre to strengthen the Central Drug Standard Control Organization to meet global standards semiconductor mission time frames 1.0 through expanded India's semiconductor sector capabilities. Through a dedicated scientific review cadre, we will launch ISM 2.0 to produce equipment and materials, design full stack mission, Indian IP, 1.0 expanded India's semiconductor. We will also focus on industry-led research and training centers. We will launch ISM 2.0 and skill to produce equipment and materials, the electronics components manufacturing scheme launched in April 2025. We will also focus on industry-led research and training centers to develop technology. Already has investment commitments at double the targets. The electronics components manufacturing scheme launched in April 2025 with an outlay of 22 to capitalize on this crores. Already has investment commitments at double the targets. We propose to increase for rare earth permanent magnets. The outlay to was launched in 2025 November. On this momentum, we now propose to support the mineral-rich states of Odisha, Kerala, a scheme for rare earth permanent magnets to establish dedicated rare earth corridors. November. To promote mining, to support processing, the mineral-rich states manufacturing. Odisha, Kerala, to enhance domestic chemical production and reduction in import dependency and reduce import dependency. We will launch a mining scheme to support states in establishing 3 dedicated chemical parks to enhance domestic chemical production and reduction in import-based plug-and-play model and reduce import dependence. Strong capital goods scheme to support states in establishing 3 dedicated chemical parks through challenge route on a cluster-based plug-and-play model. Strong capital goods capability is a determinant of productivity and quality across different sectors. Towards building this capacity, I propose the following. High-tech tool rooms will be established by central public sector enterprises of productivity and locations across different digitally enabled automated service bureaus that locally design, test and manufacture tool rooms will be established by central public sector enterprises at 2 locations. A scheme for enhancement of construction automated and infrastructure equipment that locally will be introduced to strengthen domestic manufacturing high-precision components of high value at scale and technologically advanced CIE. 2. A scheme for enhancement of construction and infrastructure equipment will be introduced to strengthen domestic manufacturing of firefighting equipment high value in multiplexes, large or small CIE, and to tunnel boring equipments for building metros and high-altitude roads, lifts in a multi-storied apartment, or firefighting equipment for container manufacturing to create a globally competitive container manufacturing ecosystem for building metros and high-altitude with a budgetary allocation of 10,000 crores over a 5-year period. I also propose a scheme for the labor-intensive textile sector to create a globally competitive container manufacturing ecosystem with 5 subparts. With a budgetary allocation of 10,000 the National Fiber Scheme for self-reliance in natural fibers for the labor-intensive textile sector. I propose an integrated program and new age 5 subparts. Textile expansion and the National Fiber Scheme for to modernize traditional fibers with capital support for machinery, technology upgradation and common testing and certification centers. Textile expansion and the National Handloom and Handicraft Program to integrate and strengthen support for existing schemes, technology upgradation and ensure and common testing and certification for weavers and artisans. 3. the National
Text
Handloom
Eco
and
Initiative
Handicraft Program
to promote
to
globally
integrate
competitive and
sustainable
existing
textiles
schemes
and apparels,
and ensure
Samarth
targeted
2.0 to modernize
for weavers and artisans.
and upgrade the textile
Text
skilling
Eco
ecosystem
Initiative
through collaboration
to promote globally
with industry
competitive and sustainable
academic
textiles
institutions
and apparels.
Samarth 2.0 to modernize the
Further, I propose to set up a mega
skilling
textile
ecosystem
I
through
propose
collaboration
to set up
with
mega
industry
textile
and
parks
academic
in challenge
institutions.
mode.
They can also focus on bringing value addition to technical textiles.
I propose to set up a
I
mega
propose to
textile
launch the Mahatma
I
Gandhi
propose to
Gram
set up mega
Swaraj
textile
initiative
parks in challenge
to strengthen.
mode.
They can also focus on bringing value addition to technical textiles.
This will help
in global market
propose to
linkage
launch
and
the
branding.
Mahatma Gandhi
It
Gram
will
Swaraj
streamline and
initiative
support training, skilling,
to
quality of
strengthen
process
khadi,
and
handloom
production.
and
This will
handicrafts.
benefit our weavers,
This will
village
help
industries,
in global
one
market
district, one
linkage
product
and branding.
ODOP
It
initiative
will streamline
and also
and support
our
training,
training,
youth.
skilling, quality of process and production. This
India
will benefit our weavers,
has the potential
village
to emerge
industries,
as a global
one
hub for
district,
high
one
quality
product,
affordable
ODOP initiative,
sports goods.
and also
I
our
propose
rural
a
dedicated initiative for sports goods that will promote
India
manufacturing,
has
research,
the potential
and
to
innovation
emerge as a
in
global
equipment
hub
design
for high
as well as material
affordable
sciences.
sports goods. I propose a dedicated initiative
Rejuvenation of legacy industrial
manufacturing,
clusters.
research.
I propose to introduce a scheme to revive
design
200
as
legacy industrial clusters to improve their cost competitiveness and efficiency
Rejuvenation of
through
legacy
infrastructure
industrial
and technology
clusters.
upgradation.
I
propose to introduce a scheme to revive 200 legacy industrial clusters
Creating champion
to improve their
SMEs
cost competitiveness
and supporting micro
and efficiency
enterprises.
through infrastructure
Recognizing
and
MSMEs
MSMEs as a vital engine of growth. I propose a three-pronged approach to help them
Creating
grow
champion
as champions.
SMEs and
Equity
supporting
support.
micro enterprises.
I propose to introduce a dedicated
Recognizing
10,000 crores
as a
vital engine
SME
of
growth
I
fund
propose a three-pronged approach to help them
future
grow
champions.
as champions. Incentivizing
Equity
enterprises
support.
Enterprises
I propose
based
to
to
introduce
introduce a dedicated
select
10,000
criteria.
crores
SME
I also
growth
propose
fund
to top up the
to
self-reliant
create
India
future
fund
champions.
set up in
Incentivizing
2021 enterprises with enterprises
2,000
based
crores
on to continue
select
support to micro
criteria.
enterprises and
I
maintain
also
their
propose
access to risk
top up
capital.
the
self-reliant India fund
Liquidity
set up in
support
2021
with
threads. More
with
than 7
2,000
lakh crore
crores
has been made
to
available
continue
to
support to
MSMEs
micro enterprises
to leverage
and
its full
maintain their
potential.
access to risk
I propose
capital.
4 measures. 1.
Liquidity support.
Mandate Threads
With
as the
Threads,
transaction settlement
more than
platform
7 lakh
for
crore
all
has been made
purchases
available to
from
MSMEs
MSMEs by CPSEs.
to leverage its full
potential. I propose 4
Serving
measures.
as a benchmark
One,
for other corporates.
Mandate Threads
2,
as the transaction
introduce
settlement platform
a credit guarantee
for all
support mechanism
purchases
through
from MSMEs
CGTMSE
by
for invoice
CPSEs
discounting
on Threads platform.
Serving as a
3.
benchmark for
Link
other
GEM with
corporates.
Threads for
2.
sharing information
Introduce
with
a
financiers
credit guarantee
about
support
government
mechanism
purchases through
from
CGTMSE for invoice
encouraging
discounting
cheaper
on
and
Threads
quicker
platform.
financing.
3.
4.
Link GEM
Introduce
with Threads for sharing
receivables
information
as
with
asset-backed
financiers
securities,
about government purchases
helping develop
from
a
MSMEs,
secondary market,
enhancing liquidity
cheaper and
and
quicker
settlement of
financing.
transactions.
4.
Introduce Threads
Professional
receivables
support as
Government will
asset-backed
facilitate professional
securities,
institutions
helping develop
such as the
a secondary
ICAI,
market,
enhancing liquidity and settlement of to design short-term modular courses
Professional
and
support.
practical tools. Government will
to
facilitate
develop a cadre
professional
of
institutions
corporate
such as the
mitras,
ICAI,
especially in Tier 2
ICSI, and
Tier 3
to
towns.
design short-term
These
modular
accredited
courses
para-professionals
and practical
will
tools
help MSMEs
to develop a
meet
cadre of
compliance
requirements
corporate
at
mitras,
affordable costs.
especially in Tier 2
Infrastructure.
and Tier
During
3
this past
towns.
decade,
These
our government has
accredited
undertaken several
para-professionals
initiatives
will help
for
MSMEs
large-scale enhancement
meet
of
compliance
public infrastructure
requirements at affordable
including
costs.
through new financing
Infrastructure.
instruments such as
During this
infrastructure
past decade,
investment trust,
our government has undertaken several
real estate
initiatives
investment trust
for large-scale
rates
enhancement of
and
public
institutions
infrastructure,
like
including
NIIF
through
and
new
NABFID.
financing instruments.
We
such
shall
as
continue to
infrastructure
focus on
investment
developing
trust
infrastructure
in widths
in cities
and real
with over
estate
5
investment
lakh
trust
population, that is
rates.
tier 2, tier
And
3
institutions
cities,
like
which have
NIIF
expanded to
and
become
NABFID.
growth centers. We shall continue to
Public
focus on
capital
developing
expenditure
infrastructure
has
in
increased
cities with over
manifold
5 lakh
from 2 lakh
population,
crore
that
in
is tier 2,
2014
tier
three
3
cities
to an allocation
which
of
have expanded to become
11.2
growth
lakh
centers.
crores in BE 25-26.
Public capital expenditure
In
has
this
increased
coming
manifold
year, that
from
is
2 lakh crore in
financial year
2014-15
to an allocation of 11.2
to increase it to
12.2 lakh
in
crores
BE 25-26
to continue the momentum. In this coming year, to
That is
strengthen the confidence of
financial year
private developers
26-27
regarding
propose
risks
to increase it
during
to
infrastructure
12.2
development
lakh crores
and construction
continue
phase.
the momentum.
I propose to set up an infrastructure risk guarantee
strengthen
fund
the confidence of
to
private
provide
developers
prudentially calibrated
regarding
partial
risk
credit
during
guarantee infrastructure
lenders.
development and construction phase. I
Over
propose
the
to set up
years,
an infrastructure
rights
risk guarantee
have
fund emerged as a successful
to provide
instrument for
prudentially
asset
calibrated
monetization.
partial credit
I propose
guarantee
to
to
accelerate
lenders.
recycling of significant real estate assets of the CPSEs
Over the years,
through the setting up
rights
of dedicated
have
emerged as
rights.
a successful instrument for
To
asset
promote environmentally
monetization.
sustainable
I
movement
propose
of
to
cargo.
accelerate recycling
I propose
of significant
to
real estate
one,
assets of
establish
the
new
CPSEs
dedicated freight
through the setting
corridors
up
connecting
dedicated
rights.
Dankuni in the east
To promote
Surat in the
environmentally
west.
sustainable movement of cargo.
Operationalize
I
20
propose
new
to
national waterways
one,
over
establish
the next
new
5 years,
dedicated freight corridors connecting
starting with national
Dankuni
waterways
in the east
5
to Surat
in
in the
Odisha
west.
to connect
Operationalize
mineral-rich
20
areas
new
of
national
Talcher and
waterways
Angul over the next 5 years,
and
industrial centers like Kalinga Nagar to the
starting
ports
with
of
national
Paradip and
waterways
Waterways 5.
Training
In Odisha,
institutes will
to
be set
connect
up as
mineral-rich
regional
centers of
areas of
excellence
Talcher
for
and
development
Angul
of required manpower
and
for
industrial
these
centers
waterways.
like Kalinga Nagar
This will
to the
benefit
ports
youth
of
in the
Paradip
entire stretch
and
of the
Dhamra.
waterways to train and
Training
acquire
institutes will be set up
skills.
as regional centers
Further,
of excellence
a ship repair
for development of
ecosystem
required manpower
catering to
for
inland
these
waterways.
will
This will
also be
benefit
set up
youth in the entire stretch of the
Varanasi
waterways
and
to
Patna.
train and acquire
And
skills.
launch a
Further,
coastal cargo
a ship
promotion
repair
scheme
ecosystem
for
catering to
incentivizing
inland
waterways.
modal shift
will also
from
be
rail
set
to
up
road to
at
increase the
Varanasi
share of
and
inland
Patna.
waterways and coastal
And
shipping from
launch
6%
a coastal
to
cargo
12%
promotion
by
scheme
2047
for
incentivizing a modal shift from
to
rail to
enhance
road
last mile
to
and
increase
remote
the share of
connectivity
inland waterways
and promote
coastal
tourism.
shipping.
I propose
from
to give
6%
incentives
to
to
12% by
indigenize
2047
manufacturing
of seaplanes. A seaplane
To
VGF
enhance
scheme
last mile
will
and
be
remote
also
connectivity
introduced to
and
provide
promote
support
tourism
for operations.
I propose to give
incentives to indigenize
carbon
manufacturing,
capture,
utilization and
seaplanes.
storage. A seaplane
Aligning with the roadmap
VGF
launched in December
will be also
2025,
introduced
the carbon
to provide
capturing
support for
operations.
carbon capture utilization and storage technologies
Carbon capture,
at scale
utilization and
will
storage.
achieve higher
Aligning with
readiness
the roadmap launched in
and
December
end-use
2025,
application
the carbon
across
capturing
5 industrial sectors,
carbon capture
including
utilization and
power,
storage
steel,
technologies,
cement,
at
refineries,
scale
and
will
chemicals, achieve higher readiness.
An outlay of
and
20,000
end-use
crore is
application
proposed
over the
across
next 5 years
5
for this
industrial
purpose.
sectors,
including
city
power,
economic regions,
steel,
cement,
cities are
refineries,
India's
and
engines of
chemicals.
growth, innovation and
An outlay
opportunities.
of 20,000
We shall now
crore
focus
is
on tier
proposed
2, tier
over
3
the next
cities
5 years for
and
this
even
purpose.
temple towns, which need
City
modern
economic
infrastructure
regions
and basic
cities are
amenities.
India's engines
This
of
budget
growth,
aims to further
innovation
amplify
and opportunities.
the potential
We
of
shall
cities
now
to
focus on
deliver
tier 2,
the
tier 3
economic
cities
power of
and even
agglomerations
temple towns,
by mapping
which
city
need
modern
modern
infrastructure and basic
based
amenities.
on their
This
specific
budget
growth
aims to further
drivers.
amplify
An allocation
the
of
potential of
5,000
cities
crore
to deliver
per
the economic power of
over 5
agglomerations
years
by
is
mapping
proposed
city
for
economic
implementing
regions
their plans
based through a challenge mode with a reform result-based financing mechanism. 5,000 crore per CER in order to promote environmentally sustainable passenger systems, we will develop 7 high-speed rail corridors with a reform between cities financing mechanism as growth connectors. In order to promote environmentally sustainable passenger systems, Pune to Hyderabad, 7 high-speed rail corridors, Hyderabad to Chennai, between cities, Chennai to Bengaluru, as Delhi to Varanasi, Varanasi to Siliguri, Mumbai to Pune, Pune to Hyderabad, Hyderabad to Bengaluru, Hyderabad to Chennai, Chennai to Bengaluru, Delhi to Varanasi, Varanasi to Siliguri. The Indian banking sector today is characterized by strong balance sheet, historic highs in profitability, improved asset quality, and coverage exceeding 98%. The Indian banking sector in the country today is characterized by strong balance sheet. We are well placed to futuristically evaluate the measures needed to continue improved asset on the path of reform-led coverage exceeding this sector. 98%. I propose setting up in the country a high-level committee on banking. We are well placed to futuristically evaluate the measures needed to continue on the path of reform-led growth. To comprehensively review the sector, I propose setting up and align it with India's next phase of growth, while safeguarding financial stability, banking, inclusion, Vikasit Bharat, and consumer comprehensively review the vision for NBFCs for Vikasit Bharat and align it with India's next phase of growth targets. For credit disbursement, financial and technology adoption, inclusion, in order to achieve consumer protection and improve efficiency, the vision for NBFCs for Vikasit Bharat as a first step, it is proposed to restructure for credit finance corporation and rural adoption, electrification in order to achieve scale and improve efficiency in the public sector NBFCs. A comprehensive review of the foreign exchange management, restructure non-debt the power finance corporation and rural to create electrification corporation, user-friendly framework for foreign investments. I propose a comprehensive review of the foreign exchange management priorities, non-debt instruments rules, corporate bond to create a more contemporary, user-friendly framework to introduce for foreign investments, market-making framework consistent with suitable access to funds, economic and priorities on corporate bond indices. Corporate I also propose to introduce total return swaps. I propose to introduce a market-making framework, municipal with suitable bonds, access to funds to encourage the issuance of municipal bonds corporate bond of higher value. I also larger cities to introduce total return incentive of 100 crore rupees for a municipal bond issuance to encourage the issuance of municipal bonds of higher 100 crore by larger cities, a single bond incentive of more than 1,000 crore. The current single bond issuance. The current scheme under Amrit rupees which incentivizes issuance up to 200 crores only will also continue to support under smaller and medium towns. That will also continue to support the smaller and medium towns. The current scheme under Amrit ease of doing business, which incentivizes individual persons resident outside India, will also continue to will be permitted to invest in equity instruments of listed Indian companies through the smaller and investment scheme, ease of doing business. It is also proposed to increase the investment limit for an individual PROI under the scheme from 5% to 10% with an overall investment limit for all individual PROIs to 24% from the current 10%. Emerging technologies including AI. 21st century is technology driven. Adoption of technology is for the benefit of all people. Farmers in the field, women in STEM, youth keen to upskill, and Divyangjan to access newer opportunities. The government has taken several steps to support new technologies through AI mission, National Quantum Mission, Anusandhan National Research Fund, and Research and Development, and Innovation Fund. Our second kartavya is to fulfill aspirations and build capacities. Close to 25 crore individuals have come out of multi-dimensional poverty through a decade of our government's sustained and reform-oriented efforts. Our government has therefore decided to place a renewed emphasis on the service sector to provide a pathway to fulfilling aspirations of a youthful India with the following measures. I propose to set up a high-powered education to employment and enterprises standing committee to recommend measures that focus on services sector as a core driver of Vikasit Bharat. This will make us a global leader in services with a 10% global share by 2047. The committee will prioritize areas to optimize the potential for growth, employment, and exports. They will also assess the impact of emerging technologies, including AI, on jobs and skill requirements and propose measures thereof. To create a range of skilled career pathways, a new range of skilled career pathways for our youth, I propose interventions in the following sectors. Health. Existing institutions for allied health professionals will be upgraded and new AHP institutions established in private and government sectors. This will cover 10 selected disciplines, including optometry, radiology, anesthesia, OT technology, applied psychology and behavioral health, and add 1 lakh AHPs over the next 5 years. A strong care system covering geriatric and allied care services will be built. A variety of NSQF-aligned programs will be developed to train multi-skilled caregivers, combining core care and allied skills such as wellness, yoga, and operation of medical assistive devices. In the coming year, 1.5 lakh caregivers will be trained. Hubs for medical value tourism. To promote India as a hub for medical tourism services, I propose to launch a scheme to support states in establishing 5 regional medical hubs in partnership with the private sector. These hubs will serve as integrated healthcare complexes that combine medical, educational, and research facilities. They will have Ayush centers, medical value tourism facilitation centers, and infrastructure for diagnostics, post-care, and rehabilitation. These hubs will provide diverse opportunities, job opportunities for health professionals, including doctors and AHPs. Ancient Indian yoga, already respected in several parts of the world, was given a mass global recognition when Honorable Prime Minister took it to the UN. Post-COVID, Ayurveda gained a similar global acceptance and recognition. Exporting quality Ayurveda products helps farmers who grow the herbs and youth who process the products. To meet growing global demand, a few more steps are being taken. I propose to 1. Set up 3 new All India Institutes of Ayurveda. 2. Upgrade Ayush pharmacies and drug testing labs for higher standards of certification ecosystem and make available more skilled personnel. 3. Upgrade the WHO Global Traditional Medicine Center in Jamnagar to bolster evidence-based research, training, and awareness for traditional medicine. animal husbandry. Livestock contributes to close to 16% of farm income, including of poor and marginal households. To scale up availability of veterinary professionals by more than 20,000, I propose to roll out a loan-linked capital subsidy support scheme for establishment of veterinary and para-veterinary colleges, veterinary hospitals, diagnostic laboratories, and breeding facilities in private sector. Collaboration between Indian and foreign institutions will also be facilitated. Orange economy. India's animation, visual effects, gaming and comics sector, AVGC sector, is a growing industry projected to require 2 million professionals by 2030. I propose to support the Indian Institute of Creative Technologies, Mumbai, in setting up AVGC content creator labs in 15,000 secondary schools all over the country and 500 colleges. The Indian design industry is expanding rapidly, and yet there is a shortage of Indian designers. I propose to establish, through Challenge Route, a new National Institute of Design to boost design education and development in the eastern region of India. Education. Our government will support states through Challenge Route in creating 5 university townships in the vicinity of major industrial and logistics corridors. These planned academic zones will host multiple universities, colleges, and research institutions, skill centers, and residential complexes. In higher education, STEM institutions, prolonged hours of study and laboratory work pose some challenges for girl students. Through VGF, Viability Gap Funding and capital support, one girls' hostel will be established in every district. To promote astrophysics and astronomy via immersive experiences, 4 telescope infrastructure facilities will be set up or upgraded. The National Large Solar Telescope, the National Large Optical Infrared Telescope, the Himalayan Chandra Telescope, and the Cosmos 2 Planetarium. Tourism. The tourism sector has the potential to play a large role in the employment generation, forex earnings, and expanding the local economy. I propose to set up a National Institute of Hospitality by upgrading the existing National Council for Hotel Management and Catering Technology. It will function as a bridge between academia, industry, and government. I also propose a pilot scheme for upskilling 10,000 guides in 20 iconic tourist sites through a standardized, high-quality, 12-week training course in hybrid mode in collaboration with the Indian Institute of Management. A national destination digital knowledge grid will be established to digitally document all places of significance, cultural, spiritual, and heritage. This initiative will create a new ecosystem of jobs for local researchers, historians, content creators, and technology partners. India has the potential and opportunity to offer world-class trekking and hiking experience. We will develop ecologically sustainable mountain trails in Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and Jammu Kashmir. Also in Araku Valley in the Eastern Ghats and Podigai Malai in the Western Ghats. Turtle trails along key nesting sites in the coastal areas of Odisha, Karnataka and Kerala. And 3, bird watching trails along the Pulikat Lake in Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu. It's on the border. Under the visionary leadership of Honorable Prime Minister, we established the International Big Cat Alliance in 2024. This year, India is hosting the first ever Global Big Cat Summit, where heads of governments and ministers from 95 range countries will deliberate on collective strategies for conservation. Heritage and culture tourism. I propose to develop 15 archaeological sites, including Lothal, Dolavira, Rakhi Gadi, Adichanallur, Saranath, Hastinapur, and Leh Palace into vibrant experiential cultural destinations. Excavated landscapes will be open to the public through curated walkways. Immersive storytelling skills and technologies will be introduced to help conservation labs, interpretation centers, and guides. The sports sector provides multiple means of employment, skilling, and job opportunities. Taking forward the systematic nurturing of sports talent, which is set in motion through the Khelo India program earlier, I propose to launch a Khelo India mission to transform the sports sector over the next decade. The mission will facilitate an integrated talent development pathway supported by training centers, which are foundational, intermediate, and elite levels. B, systematic development of coaches and support staff. C, integration of sports science and technology. D, competitions and leagues to promote sports culture and provide platforms. And E, development of sports infrastructure for training and competition. Our third Kartavya aligns with our vision of Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas towards Vikasit Bharat. This requires targeted efforts for 1, increasing farmer incomes through productivity enhancement and entrepreneurship, with special attention to small and marginal farmers. B, empowering Divyangjan through access to livelihood opportunities, training, and high-quality assistive devices. C, empowering the vulnerable to access mental health and trauma care. D, focus on the Purvodaya states and the Northeast region to access to livelihood opportunities, training, and high-quality assistive devices. We will undertake C, empowering the vulnerable to access mental health and trauma care. D, focus on the Purvodaya states and the Northeast region to access to livelihood opportunities, training, and high-quality assistive devices. We will undertake C, empowering the vulnerable. Animal husbandry. To provide quality employment opportunities in rural and peri-urban areas, we will support the animal husbandry sector in entrepreneurship development through A, credit-linked subsidy program, B, scaling up and modernization of livestock enterprises, C, enhanced creation of livestock, dairy, and poultry enhanced creation of livestock, dairy, and poultry-focused integrated value chains, and D, encourage creation of livestock farmer-producer organizations. High-value agriculture. To diversify farm outputs, increase productivity, enhance farmers' incomes, and create new employment opportunities, we will support high-value crops such as coconut, sandalwood, cocoa, cashew in the coastal areas, agar trees in northeast, and nuts such as almonds, walnuts, and pine nuts in our hilly regions. These, all of them, will be supported. India is the world's largest producer of coconuts. About 30 million people, including nearly 10 million farmers, depend on coconuts for their livelihood. To further enhance competitiveness in coconut production, I propose a coconut promotion scheme to increase production and enhance productivity through various interventions, including replacing and non-productive trees with new saplings or plants or varieties in major coconut growing states. A dedicated program is proposed for Indian cashew and cocoa to make India self-reliant in raw cashew and coconut production and processing, enhance export competitiveness, and transform Indian cashew and Indian cocoa into premium global brands by 2030. Sandalwood. Sandalwood is closely linked to India's social and cultural heritage. Our government will partner with state governments to promote focused cultivation and post-harvest processing to restore the glory of the Indian sandalwood ecosystem, to rejuvenate old, low-yielding orchards and expand high-density cultivation of walnuts, almonds, and pine nuts. We will support a dedicated program to enhance farmer incomes and in bringing value addition by engaging youth. Bharat Vistar, that is virtually integrated system to access agricultural resources. I propose to launch Bharat Vistar, a multilingual AI tool that shall integrate the AgriStack portals and the ICAR package on agricultural practices with AI systems. This will enhance farm productivity, enable better decisions for farmers, and reduce risk by providing customized advisory support. She Marts for rural women-led enterprises. Building on the success of Lakpati Didi program, I propose to help women take the next step from their linked livelihoods to being owners of enterprises. Self-help entrepreneur, She Marts will be set up as community-owned retail outlets within the cluster-level operations through enhanced and innovative financing instruments. Empowering Divyangjan. Divyangjan Kaushal Yojana. Information technology, AVGC sectors, hospitality and food and beverages sectors often offer task-oriented and process-driven roles which are suitable for Divyangjan. We will ensure dignified livelihood opportunities through industry-relevant and customized training specific to each Divyangjan group. Divyang Sahara Yojana. Timely access to high-quality assistive devices for all eligible Divyangjan is a fundamental need. I propose to 1. Support the Artificial Limbs Manufacturing Corporation of India, Alimco, to set up and to scale up production of assistive devices, invest in R&D and AI integration, strengthen Divyasha Kendras, and support setting up of assistive technology marts as modern retail style centers where Divyangjan and senior citizens can see, try and purchase assistive products. Reaffirming our commitment to mental health and trauma care. There are no national institutes for mental health care in North India. We will therefore set up a NIMHANS 2 and also upgrade national mental health institutes in Ranchi and in Tezpur as regional apex institutions. Emergencies expose families, particularly the poor and vulnerable, to unexpected expenditure. We will strengthen and increase these capacities by 50% in district hospitals by establishing emergency and trauma care centers. Focus on Purvodaya states and northeastern regions. Purvodaya, I propose the development of an integrated East Coast industrial corridor with a well-connected node at Durgapur, creation of 5 tourism destinations in 5 Purvodaya states, and the provision of 4,000 e-buses. Buddhist sites in northeastern region. The northeastern region is a civilizational confluence of Theravada and Mahayana or Vajrayana traditions. I propose to launch a scheme for development of Buddhist circuits in Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, Assam, Manipur, Mizoram and Tripura. The scheme will cover preservation of temples and monasteries, pilgrimage interpretation centers, connectivity and pilgrim amenities. 16th Finance Commission. On 17th November 2025, the 16th Finance Commission submitted its report to the President. As mandated under Article 281 of the Constitution, the government is to lay the report along with the explanatory memorandum on the action taken report on the recommendations of the Commission in Parliament, which, Sir, Honourable Speaker, you have allowed me to do at the commencement of this session. The government has accepted the recommendation of the Commission to retain the vertical share of devolution at 41%. As recommended by the Commission, I have provided 1.4 lakh crores of rupees to the states for the year 2026-2027 as Finance Commission grants. These include rural and urban local body and disaster management grants. Fiscal consolidation. Government has been delivering on our fiscal commitments consistently without compromising on social needs. To strive towards accepted standards of fiscal management in Budget 25-26, I had indicated that the central government would target reaching a debt to GDP ratio of 50 plus or minus 1% by 2030-31. In line with this, the debt to GDP ratio is estimated to be 55.6% of GDP in BE 26-27. compared to 56.1% of GDP in RE 25-26. A declining debt to GDP ratio will gradually free up resources for priority sector lending and expenditure by reducing the outgo on interest payments. One of the main operational instruments for debt targeting is the fiscal deficit. I am happy to inform this august House that I fulfilled my commitment made in 2021-2022 to reduce fiscal deficit below 4.5% of GDP by 25-26. In RE 25-26, the fiscal deficit has been estimated at par with BE of 25-26, 2025-26. In line with the new fiscal prudence path of debt consolidation, the fiscal deficit in BE 26-27 is estimated to be 4.3% of the GDP. The revised estimates of the non-debt receipts are 34 lakh crore rupees, of which the centre's net tax receipts are 26.7 lakh crore. The revised estimate of the total expenditure is 49.6 lakh crore rupees, of which the capital expenditure is about 11 lakh crores. Budget estimates 2026 to 2027. Coming to 26-27, the non-debt receipts and the total expenditure are estimated as 36.5 lakh crore and 53.5 lakh crore respectively. The centre's net tax receipts are estimated at 28.7 lakh crore rupees. To finance the fiscal deficit, the net market borrowings from dated securities are estimated at 11.7 lakh crore rupees. The balance financing is expected to come from small savings and other sources. The gross market borrowings are estimated at 17.2 lakh crore rupees. I'll now move to Part B. Part B, direct taxes. Honorable Speaker, sir, I now present my proposals on direct taxes. New Income Tax Act. In July 2024, I announced a comprehensive review of the Income Tax Act 1961. This was completed in a record time, and the Income Tax Act 2025 will come into effect from 1st April 2026. The simplified income tax rules and forms will be notified shortly, giving adequate time to taxpayers to acquaint themselves with its requirements. The forms have been redesigned such that ordinary citizens can comply without difficulty. Ease of living. I propose that any interest awarded by the Motor Accident Claims Tribunal to a natural person will be exempt from income tax, and any TDS on this account will be done away with. I propose to reduce TCS rate on the sale of overseas tour program package from the current 5% and 20% to 2% without any stipulation of amount. I propose to reduce TCS rate for pursuing education and for medical purposes under the Liberalized Remittance Scheme, popularly known as LRS, from 5% to 2%. Supply of manpower services is proposed to be specifically brought within the ambit of payment to contractors for the purpose of TDS to avoid ambiguity. Thus, TDS on these services will be at the rate of either 1% or 2% only. I propose a scheme for small taxpayers, wherein a rule-based automated process will enable obtaining a lower or nil deduction certificate instead of filing an application with the assessing officer. For the ease of taxpayer holding securities in multiple companies, a scheme for small taxpayers, wherein a rule-based automated Form 15H from the investor and provided directly to various relevant companies. I propose to extend time available for revising returns from 31st December to up to 31st March with the payment of a nominal fee. I also propose to stagger the timeline for filing of tax returns. Individuals with ITR 1 and ITR 2 returns will continue to file till 31st July, and non-audit business cases or trusts are proposed to be allowed time till 31st August. TDS on sale of immovable property by a non-resident is proposed to be deducted and deposited through resident buyers and his or her PAN-based challan instead of requiring a TAN, which is a temporary accounting number. To address practical issues of small taxpayers like students, young professionals, tech employees, relocated NRIs, and such others, I propose to introduce a one-time 6-month foreign asset disclosure scheme for these taxpayers to disclose income or assets below a certain size. This scheme would be applicable for two categories of taxpayers, namely A, who did not disclose their overseas income or assets, and B, who disclosed their overseas income and or paid due tax but could not declare the asset acquired. For category A, the limit of undisclosed income or asset is proposed to be up to 1 crore rupees. They need to pay 30% of fair market value of asset or 30% of undisclosed income as tax and 30% as additional income tax in lieu of penalty and would thereby get immunity from prosecution. For category B, asset value is proposed to be up to 5 crore rupees. Here, immunity from both penalty and prosecution will be available with a payment of fee of 1 lakh rupees. Rationalizing penalty and prosecution. Multiplicity of proceedings are hindrance to the ease of doing business. I propose to integrate assessment and penalty proceedings by way of a common order for both. There will be no interest liability on the taxpayer on the penalty amount for the period of appeal before the first appellate authority, irrespective of the outcome of appeal process. Further, quantum of prepayment is being reduced from 20% to 10% and will continue to be calculated only on core tax demand. As an additional measure for reducing litigation, I propose to allow taxpayers to update their returns even after reassessment proceedings have been initiated and an additional 10% tax rate over and above the rate applicable for the relevant year. The assessing officer will then use only this updated return in his proceedings. There is already a framework for immunity from penalty and prosecution in the cases of underreporting. I propose to apply this framework for immunity to misreporting too. However, in such a case, the taxpayer will need to pay 100% of the tax amount as an additional income tax over and above the tax and interest due. Penalties for certain technical defaults, such as failure to get accounts audited, non-furnishing of transfer pricing audit report, and default in furnishing statement for financial transactions are proposed to be converted into fee. I propose to rationalize prosecution framework under Income Tax Act while maintaining a careful balance for deterrence in some serious offence. Non-production of books of account and documents and requirement of TDS payment where payment is made in kind are being decriminalized. Further, minor offences will attract fine only. The remaining prosecutions will be graded commensurate with the quantum of offence. They will entail only simple imprisonment with maximum imprisonment reduced to 2 years and power to courts to convert even those into fines. There is no penalty. There is no penalty presently for non-disclosure of non-immovable foreign assets with aggregate value less than 20 lakh rupees. I propose to also provide them with immunity from prosecution with retrospective effect from 1/10/2024. Cooperatives. Deduction is already allowed to a primary cooperative society engaged in supplying milk, oilseeds, fruits or vegetables raised or grown by its members. I propose to extend this deduction to also include supply of cattle feed and cotton seed produced by its members. I propose to allow inter-cooperative society dividend income as deduction under the new tax regime to the extent it is further distributed to its members. I further propose to allow exemption for a period of 3 years to dividend income received by a notified national cooperative federation on their investments made in companies up to 31/1/2026. This exemption would be allowed only for dividends further distributed to its member cooperatives. Supporting IT sector as India's growth engine. India is a global leader in software development services, IT-enabled services, knowledge process outsourcing services, and contract R&D services relating to software development. These businesses and their segments are quite interconnected with each other. All these services are proposed to be clubbed under a single category of information technology services with a common safe harbor margin of 15.5% applicable to all. The threshold for availing safe harbor for IT services is being enhanced substantially from 300 crore rupees to 2,000 crore rupees. Safe harbor for IT services shall be approved by an automated rule-driven process without any need for tax officer to examine and accept the application. Once applied by an IT services company, the same safe harbor can be continued for a period of 5 years at a stretch at its choice. For IT services companies who want to conclude advanced pricing agreement, APA, I propose to fast-track unilateral APA process for IT services and endeavor to conclude it within a period of 2 years. The period of 2 years can be extended by a further period of 6 months on taxpayers' request. I propose to extend the facility of modified returns available to the entity entering APA to its associated entities also. Attracting global business and investment. Recognizing the need to enable critical infrastructure and boost investment in data centers, I propose to provide tax holiday till 2047 to any foreign company that provides cloud services to customers globally by using data center services from India. It will, however, need to provide services to Indian customers through an Indian reseller entity. I also propose to provide a safe harbor of 15% on cost in case the company providing data center services from India is a related entity. To harness the efficiency of just-in-time logistics for electronic manufacturing, I propose to provide safe harbor to non-residents for component warehousing in a bonded warehouse at a profit margin of 2% of the invoice value. The resultant tax of about 0.7% will be much lower than in competing jurisdictions. To provide fillip to toll manufacturing in India, I propose to provide exemption from income tax for 5 years to any non-resident who provides capital goods, equipment, or tooling to any toll manufacturer in a bonded zone. To encourage vast pool of global talent to work in India for a longer period of time, I propose to provide exemption to global, non-India sourced income of a non-resident expert for a stay period of 5 years under notified schemes. I propose to provide exemption from minimum alternate tax, the MAT, to all non-residents who pay tax on presumptive basis. Tax administration. I propose to constitute a joint committee of Ministry of Corporate Affairs and Central Board of Direct Taxes for incorporating the requirements of income computation and disclosure standards, the ICDS, in the Indian Accounting Standards, IND AS itself. Separate accounting requirement based on ICDS will be done away with from the tax year 27-28. To support Prime Minister Modi's vision of homegrown accounting and advisory firms to become global leaders, I propose to rationalize the definition of accountant for the purposes of safe harbor rules. Other tax proposals. Change in taxation of buyback was brought in to address the improper use of buyback route by promoters. In the interest of minority shareholders, I propose to tax buyback for all types of shareholders as capital gains. However, to disincentivize misuse of tax arbitrage, promoters will pay an additional buyback tax. This will make effective tax 22% for corporate promoters. For non-corporate promoters, the effective tax will be 30%. TCS rate for sellers of specific goods, namely alcoholic liquor, scrap and minerals, will be rationalized to 2%, and that on tendu leaves will be reduced from 5% to 2%. I propose to raise the STT on futures to 0.05% from the present 0.02%. STT on options premium and exercise of options are both proposed to be raised to 0.15% from the present rate of 0.1% and 0.125% respectively. We reformed the taxation landscape for corporates in 2019 by providing them a simplified regime with lower tax rate so that they could productively focus on business rather than on claim of deductions and exemptions. To encourage companies to shift to the new regime, set off of brought forward MAT credit, minimum alternate tax credit, is proposed to be allowed to companies only in the new regime. Set off using available MAT credit is proposed to be allowed to an extent of 1/4 of the tax liability in the new regime. MAT is proposed to be made final tax, so there will be no further credit accumulation from 1st April 2026. In line with this change, the rate of final tax is being reduced to 14% from the current MAT rate of 15%. The brought forward MAT credit of taxpayers accumulated till 30th March 2026 will continue to be available to them for set off as above. Indirect taxes. I shall now take up proposals related to indirect taxes. My proposals for customs and central excise aim to further simplify the tariff structure, support domestic manufacturing, promote export competitiveness, and correct inversion in duty. To continue weeding out long continuing customs duty exemptions, I propose to remove certain exemptions on items which are being manufactured in India or where the imports are negligible. Similarly, to further simplify the process of ascertaining the rate of duty applicable on a particular item, I propose to incorporate certain effective rates in various customs notifications to the tariff schedule itself. I shall now take up sector-specific proposals. Promotion of exports of marine, leather, and textile products. I propose to increase the limit for duty-free imports of specified inputs used for processing seafoods for export from the current 1% to 3% of FOB value of the previous year's export turnover. I also propose to allow duty-free imports of specified inputs, which is currently available for exports of leather or synthetic footwear, to exports of shoe uppers as well. I propose to extend the time period for export of final product from the existing 6 months to 1 year for exporters of leather or textile garments, leather or synthetic footwear and other leather products. Energy transition and security. I propose to extend the basic customs duty exemption given to capital goods used for manufacturing lithium-ion cells for batteries to those used for manufacturing lithium-ion cells for battery energy storage systems also. I propose to exempt basic customs duty on import of sodium antimonate for use in manufacture of solar glass. Nuclear power. I propose to extend the existing basic customs duty exemption on imports of goods required for nuclear power projects till the year 2035 and expand it for all nuclear plants irrespective of their capacity. Critical minerals. It is proposed to provide basic customs duty exemption to the import
दोस्तों,
of capital
सिगरेट और
goods
पान मसाला
required
इस्तेमाल
for
करने वालों के
processing
लिए
of
एक
critical
बहुत बड़ी
minerals
ब्रेकिंग
in
न्यूज है।
India.
तो चलिए इस पूरे
Biogas blended CNG.
है कि सरकार ने सिगरेट, पान मसाला और दूसरे तंबाकू प्रोडक्ट्स
बायोगैस while calculating
और भी
the
महंगी
central excise duty
किया गया है।
payable on
ये कोई छोटा-मोटा
biogas blended CNG.
अब इसको कई लेयर्स में बढ़ाया गया।
Defense aviation.
एक्स्ट्रा टैक्स है।
I propose to exempt basic
सेस
customs
लगा।
duty on components and parts
काम के लिए
required for the manufacture of
चलिए
civilian
अगली स्लाइड में इसका
training
पूरा
and
हिसाब
other
किताब देखते हैं।
aircrafts.
ये टेबल देखिए, सारी कहानी साफ कर देती है। एक छोटी नॉन फिल्टर्ड
basic customs duty on raw materials imported for the manufacture of parts of aircraft to be used in maintenance, repair or overall requirements by units in the defense sector. Electronics.
दोस्तों,
To deepen value addition in the consumer electronics sector, I propose to exempt basic customs duty on specified parts used in the manufacture of microwave ovens. Special economic zone. To address the concerns arising about utilization of capacity by manufacturing units in the special economic zones due to global trade disruptions, I propose as a special one-time measure to facilitate sales by eligible manufacturing units in SEZs to the domestic tariff area at concessional rates of duty. The quantity of such sales will be limited to a prescribed proportion of their exports. Necessary regulatory changes will be undertaken to operationalize the measures while ensuring level playing field for the units working in the DTA. Ease of living. To rationalize the customs duty structure for goods imported for personal use, I propose to reduce the tariff rate on all dutiable goods imported for personal use from 20% to 10%. To provide relief to patients, particularly those suffering from cancer, I propose to exempt basic customs duty on 17 drugs or medicines. I propose also to add 7 more rare diseases for the purposes of exempting import duties on personal imports of drugs, medicines, and food for special medical purposes used in their treatment. Customs process. India's role and share in the global trade is poised for a major leap in line with our ambition and journey towards Vikasit Bharat. In this regard, I propose many measures for custom processes to have minimal intervention for smoother and faster movement of goods and greater certainty to the trade. Trust-based systems. I propose to enhance duty deferral period for Tier 2 and Tier 3 authorized economic operators, known as AEOs, from 15 days to 30 days. I propose to provide eligible manufacturer importers the same duty deferral facility. This should encourage them to get themselves accredited as a full-fledged Tier 3 AEO in due course. To provide greater certainty and for better business planning, I propose to extend validity period of advance ruling binding on customs from the present 3 years to 5 years. In the spirit of the whole of government approach, government agencies will be encouraged to leverage AEO accreditation for preferential treatment in clearing their cargo. Regular importers with trusted, long-standing supply chains will be recognized in the risk system so that the need for verification of their cargo every time can be minimized. Export cargo using electronic sealing. Export cargo using electronic sealing will be provided through clearance from the factory premises to the ship. For import of goods not needing any compliance, filing of bill of entry by a trusted importer and arrival of goods will automatically notify customs for completing their clearance formalities. This will enable goods to be released immediately on arrival. The customs warehouse framework will be transformed into a warehouse operator-centric system with a self-declarations, electronic tracking, and risk-based audit. These reforms will move away from the current system of officer-dependent approvals and reduce transaction delays and compliance costs. Ease of doing business. Approvals required for cargo clearance from various government agencies will be seamlessly processed through a single and interconnected digital window by the end of the financial year. Processes involved in clearance of food, drugs, plant, and animal and wildlife products, accounting for about 70% of interdicted cargo, will be operationalized on this system by April 2026 itself. For goods not having any compliance requirement, clearance will be done by customs immediately after online registration is completed by the importer, subject to the payment of duty. Customs integrated system will be rolled out in 2 years as a single integrated and scalable platform for all customs processes. Utilization of non-intrusive scanning with advanced imaging and AI technology for risk assessment will be expanded in a phased manner with the objective to scan every container across all the major ports. New export opportunities to support Indian fishermen to fully harness the economic value of marine resources beyond our territorial waters. The following measures will be taken. A. Fish catch by an Indian fishing vessel in exclusive economic zone or on the high seas will be made free of duty. Landing of such fish on foreign port will be treated as export of goods. Safeguards will be put in place to prevent misuse during fish catch, transit, or transshipment. To support aspirations of India's small businesses, artisans, and startups to access global markets through e-commerce, I am pleased to announce complete removal of the current value cap of 10 lakh rupees per consignment on courier exports. In addition, handling of rejected and returned consignments will be improved with effective use of technology for identifying such consignments. I propose to revise provisions governing baggage clearance during international travel to address genuine concerns of passengers. The revised rules will enhance duty-free allowances in line with the present-day travel realities and provide clarity in temporary carriage of goods brought in or taken out. There are honest taxpayers who are willing to settle disputes by paying all their dues, but they get deterred due to negative connotation associated with penalty. They will now be able to close cases by paying an additional amount in lieu of penalty. Honorable Speaker, sir, with this, I commend the budget to this august House.
आइटम नंबर 3 माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी।
Item number 2, sir.
3।
Sir, with your permission, I rise to lay on the table of the following statements under Section 3, 1 of the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act of 2003, medium-term fiscal policy cum fiscal policy strategy statement and macroeconomic framework statement.
आइटम नंबर 4 माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी।
Sir, with your permission, I move for leave to introduce the Finance Bill 2026.
प्रश्न ये कि विधेयक को पुनर्स्थापित करने की अनुमति प्रदान की जाए। जो सदस्य इस पक्ष में हाँ गए, वो सदस्य विरोध में ना गए। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हाँ वालों के पक्ष में अनुमति प्रदान की जाती है। माननीय मंत्री जी, अब विधेयक पुनर्स्थापित करें।
Sir, I introduce the bill.
माननीय सदस्य, आपको सूचित किया जाता है कि माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी के बजट भाषण की कॉपी पब्लिकेशन काउंटर पर ली जाती है। बजट भाषण और बजट से संबंधित दस्तावेज आपके मोबाइल फोन और मेंबर पोर्टल्स पर ही उपलब्ध है। सभा की कार्रवाई कल सोमवार दिनांक 2 फरवरी 2026 को प्राप्त 11 बजे तक के लिए स्थगित की जाती है।